Hey guys, welcome to The Burl. Today I'm here with my friend Matthew from JAM Entertainment, and we're going to review one of my favorite books of all time called The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller.
Hi guys, I am Matthew, and I am, as Emily said, from the JAM Entertainment channel. I mostly do a lot of music-related stuff, but I am getting more into books, and this was one that Emily recommended to me very, very highly, and I've learned to trust her recommendations over the years, so this is one I'm definitely very excited to be talking about with her today. So, hope you guys enjoy the video, and
we're going to upload this video on both of our channels, so you can go check it out on Matthew's channel as well.
First edited video in the history of the JAM Entertainment channel, because I cannot edit for my life, so
I'll be editing it. So I first read The Song of Achilles a couple of years ago. I think it was actually 3 years ago now, and it was Madeline Miller's first novel. It is a historical novel, and it's a retelling of the Iliad, which you guys are probably familiar with. But Madeline Miller really brings the whole myth to life, and she really added to the characters, I found, especially since the book really focuses on Patroclus rather than Achilles.
Yeah. For me, I thought she really added to the characters. I thought that she did a really good job of making the characters seem contemporary, while also still being respectful of the fact that this is an ancient time period, that this is supposed to be taking place in. And I loved the focus on the relationship, as you said, between Patroclus and Achilles. I thought that was a really good narrative decision from her.
Yeah, Madeline Miller is a classical historian, so she's been studying the classics from ancient Greece for a long time, and I feel like that is the perfect genre for her to write in, of course, but she obviously knows a lot about the living conditions then, the environment, and all the tools, and the culture, and stuff like that, so...
And her description, just her description generally, I remember saying this to you, it just drew you in right away. It was so vivid, and it was so detailed. I felt like I was walking the streets of ancient Greece or something. And when a novel can transport you like that, it's absolutely, that's when you know it's more than just a book. It's a great book.
Yeah, and you really got sucked in, right?
I mean, I read this in a day.
Yeah.
In a day, people. And I'm a pretty fast reader just generally, but if a story really grabs me, I think I read this in like 3.5 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I just was completely spellbound by it. So perhaps on this channel, if you're watching this on the barrel, that might not mean a lot, considering I'm pretty new to BookTube, but for sure, definitely a book that I was very, very, very engrossed in.
Yeah, I have the audiobook as well, so if you prefer listening to audiobooks, I definitely recommend it. I think it's really good narration.
How is the audiobook? Because that's another thing that I'm getting into is audiobooks. I've already gotten a few of them already.
Oh yeah, they're really good.
But the narration on this one's good?
Yep.
I'll look for it.
Yeah. Was there anything about the book that you didn't like?
I thought some of the characters were well described, but I hated them. I remember saying to you at one point, this is probably one of the only books that I've read where I've hated most of the characters, but still loved the book. And, you know, I think we talked about Odysseus a little bit.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hated Achilles' mother.
Yeah.
I could not stand her. I did not like her at all. I thought and especially with their relationship, she was very, very heavy-handed.
Yeah.
But the relationship, oh God, it was so beautiful.
Between Achilles and Patroclus?
Oh my God, yes. Like, there were points where I'm a very romantic person, So, there were points where I was swooning and I was melting.
Yeah.
And I think I cried reading the ending.
Yeah.
Reading the ending. And in case you're not aware, people, I know Emily's probably going to put this in the description, but if you haven't read the book, not the video for you.
Yeah, we'll probably be discussing some spoilery things, so go read the book first.
But yeah, I thought, even with those hated characters, Madeline Miller still managed to make them very three-dimensional, and they weren't thrown in there for the sake of being, oh, we need a villain. That each character had some element of purpose, even if I didn't like that purpose. For example, Achilles' mother, her
name is Thetis.
Oh,
I think, yeah.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm not.
It's okay.
But I think his mother had the goal of she realized how dangerous their friendship relationship was,
Yeah.
and so her goal throughout this entire novel was, to keep them apart.
Yeah, well, there's been this whole prophecy surrounding Achilles, her son, since he was born.
Yeah.
So she's trying to protect him, keep him on that path to make him the hero that the prophecy predicted for him. And she thinks Patroclus is taking him away. He's going to ruin Achilles' prospects of becoming a hero.
Mm-hmm. Which that's something that I thought was really well described as well. The whole prophecies and the whole heroism aspect of this. And I think Madeline Miller did a really good job of, making it so that we knew Achilles was a hero. We knew that this was going to happen. But he also made it, she also made him very human.
Yeah.
And very relatable. And that's what, but I think with a lot of these characters, even as flawed as they sometimes can be, even if I didn't like a lot of their motivations, they were deeply human.
For sure, yeah. I think that's such a bonus to her writing is that when you read the Iliad or you read just summaries of the old myths, that they can be very flat. Like the characters, they seem like their lives are very brief and they only did one or two things. But she really fleshed out all the characters and she gave them their own stories, which I feel like the myths just briefly touch on, and yeah, she really makes them have a lot of life and they seem very realistic.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, completely. And I think you come for the history with this book.
Yeah.
You come for the history and you come for the fact that this is a historical fiction novel, but I think you stay for the characters.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think you stay because they grab you and something about them resonates with you, and you feel every emotion that they're feeling.
Yeah.
And she's very adept at, making you feel in the same way, making you see the world through Patroclus' eyes or through Achilles' eyes. You feel like you're there.
Yeah.
You feel like she's speaking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Or when his Achilles' mother is speaking to him. But you feel like when Achilles' mother is speaking to him, you feel like that's your mother speaking to you.
Mm.
And I've had.
She's pretty scary though.
She's my mother's not nearly that scary.
Yeah.
She's not scary at all. But you get a very good sense of this could be a conversation that you have with your mother. This could be a conversation that you have with your friend in confidence. This is dialogue that, for all of its historical significance, still feels like it can be said between, friends or lovers or parents and children.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I really liked about the book was it managed to keep the dialogue from being a little bit dense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It wasn't, oh my god, I'm reading a historical fiction novel.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I'm reading a novel that happens to take place in a historical setting, but these are characters, and this is dialogue that feels again very contemporary and very relatable, and it felt like something that she took very good care to make sure of the fact that it wasn't too dense, but it was still very respectful of the period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Something I really liked about Achilles' characterization was that it wasn't what I was expecting. Where
I'm intrigued now.
Yeah. So I think us as modern or contemporary people, we expect heroes to be what we consider to be very masculine, beefy and strong, and they want to protect people. But Achilles was a little more meek than what you might expect. He wasn't like a wrestler or anything like that. And
he was just like a normal guy.
He's actually a bit effeminate. What our standards would consider effeminate, where he has the long, beautiful golden hair, and he's just very beautiful and he's, slender and
I mean, I could see that for sure.
Yeah, and he's also kind of a reluctant hero, especially when he's a teenager. He's this is so stupid.
I mean, he does really kind of rebel against the prophecy and what his mother is expecting of him. And he is much more concerned with Patroclus and what Patroclus thinks and feels and their relationship than any heroic exploits of him, either in the present, from when we start the novel, to the future, obviously the battle of the Trojan War. So I agree with Emily in the sense that Achilles really isn't concerned when he is younger about the whole prophecy and heroism aspect. And he's much more concerned with Patroclus than whatever his mother wants or expects from him, or what Greek society in general would be expecting of him.
Yeah. My favorite part of the whole book is definitely when Patroclus and Achilles go into the mountains with a centaur to train, basically, with the centaur.
Yeah.
He's training Achilles on basically becoming a hero.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the book too, and that's something that we definitely shared. A lot of the relationship development between Patroclus and Achilles happened in that moment, and it seems to be where the both of them felt most comfortable.
Yeah.
And as a reader, you felt that, you know what I mean? They felt less uninhibited by societal expectations, and obviously Patroclus originally was exiled.
Yeah.
So he felt uninhibited by the restrictions that placed on him, and it just felt like a very organic place for them.
Yeah.
And as a reader, I really appreciated that. For sure. Because, like I said, it allowed the relationship to just blossom in a way that was so natural. I mean, it had been building up prior to that, but in this particular part, we get the culmination of that.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful it was beautiful to read, and it was just a really beautifully written part in and of itself.
But eventually, Achilles does hear the call of his prophecy, and that time has to come to an end. And we get to see Odysseus, and eventually Achilles gets taken away from Patroclus.
Yes.
And Patroclus goes after him because he really has nothing else going for him. He basically decided to live for Achilles. So
yeah. And in going after him, this is one of my favorite scenes of the entire novel, is when Achilles says that Patroclus is his husband.
Yeah.
I melted.
Yeah.
I melted. And I was like, oh my god! I'm definitely a very romantic person, so, hearing that was
I know, I was so excited.
And then that girl, though.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna get to. So, I mean, they both have ended up sleeping with this princess.
Yes.
This princess of this kingdom that Achilles has been taken away to.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you think of that part?
That was my least favorite part of the entire book.
Yeah, same.
Because I did not like the whole dressing him up and how his freedom was kind of restricted, and the girl, the princess, was not a very good character in my books.
You mean like written well, or
she was written?
She's a brat.
She was written well, but she was very used to getting what she wanted.
Yeah.
And what she wanted was Achilles. Yeah. And at this point in the novel, you are completely rooting for the relationship of Patroclus and Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
So, reading what she attempts to do and how she conducts herself was so hard. Yeah. I wanted to be like, no!
At the same time, Patroclus really sympathized for her.
Yeah.
And
I think as human beings, we all have that inherent sympathy for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fact that Achilles was, the person that she really wanted,
mm-hmm.
but that she was not allowed to have.
And she was pregnant at the time too.
I'll rephrase that. She had him.
Yeah.
But she did not have his love.
Yeah.
And she wanted his love. Which Patroclus had. So that was something that I was really proud of Patroclus for, finding the sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Because this woman basically almost destroyed their relationship.
Yeah.
And, I thought it was really upstanding of him to, extend an olive branch, as it were.
Oh my god, Greek joke.
I didn't even realize that as it was coming out of my mouth. But
that was awesome.
But I like that he really was able to find it in himself to extend some kind of sympathy to her.
Yeah, that definitely made me sympathize with her more too. And if you look at it from the point of view of someone in ancient times who was a princess, who was pregnant out of wedlock, she was going to be sent away to isolation to basically have this bastard child. But if she could have married, Achilles, she would have had it on lock,
Exactly.
He is a prince, and it would have been all good. But
exactly. Thankfully enough, that didn't happen. Thankfully.
Yeah.
But she put up a good fight. She was spirited.
Yeah.
I would say. But definitely my least favorite part of the book, and definitely one I was glad was over when it was over.
Yeah. So then the Trojan War is carrying on during this time, and Achilles and Patroclus get sent to the front.
Yeah. More so Achilles gets the call.
Yeah.
And
he's like, I'm not going without Patroclus.
Exactly. And then, Patroclus goes along for the ride. And this was another really interesting part for me too, because we got to see this whole other village, I guess, for lack of better words, of people.
Yep.
They came across on the ships, and they all kind of lived together in this one compound thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting. And there was a character, I think she was a healer, if I'm remembering correctly, or there was some girl that was working with Patroclus while Achilles was on the front lines.
Yeah, so she's a former slave.
Thank you.
That they free, and then they kind of take her under their care, and Patroclus and I forget her name now, but
yeah,
they both start learning healing techniques while they're at the war camp.
Mm-hmm. Because that's basically considered their way of contributing to the war effort. Achilles and the gladiators, or I don't know what you would call them, the warriors,
Yeah,
the army, are on the front lines of this massive battle, this with massive historical significance. But for the people that are left behind, they have to find some other way to contribute. So
yeah.
this is the way that both of them do that. And the friendship that they developed, I thought was one of the high points of the latter part of the novel for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I thought that was a really great addition to that section, or that act of the novel. Although the whole war thing, and knowing what's coming in the end, if you've read the Iliad, or if you're just familiar with that, and like Achilles is he's still the reluctant hero, where he knows he has to go ahead and do this and fulfill his prophecy, but at the same time he really doesn't want to do it. If he had the choice, he wouldn't have chosen this path. So that's really hanging over his head, as well as obviously being in the middle of a war and being caught up in that is just very depressing and takes a lot out of a person. So,
yes.
Yeah, yes. It's kind of a depressing part of the novel, but at the same time,
I think it strikes the right balance between hope and optimism at the end, though.
The very end?
No,
or
just in that section.
Yeah.
I think there's an element of despair and hopelessness, but there's also this optimism too. And I really liked how Madeline Miller was able to convey the seriousness of the war situation while still finding some shred of optimism, because most of the time when you think of wars, especially one like this, which I think the Trojan War went on for something like 10 years or so. I thought it was really great that she was able to find a sliver of optimism amongst that chaotic period.
Yeah. And a lot of that is Patroclus too, and like he really wants to be there for Achilles, and he takes care of him, and
that's very heartwarming.
Yeah, that was another thing I really appreciated, that it's focusing on Patroclus's point of view rather than Achilles, so that helps keep it in a more positive perspective. Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I really liked about the beginning of the novel, even going all the way back, is we did not know at first who was narrating this piece.
Yeah, you thought it was Achilles at first.
I thought it was Achilles.
Yeah.
Obviously because of the title.
Yep.
That's just the general assumption that I made. And then we get to, I think it's like somewhere between 20 pages into this book, and all of a sudden we hear the name Patroclus for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's when, so I really liked how she was able to keep us in the dark for the whole first section. And then all of a sudden, hey, you thought this was narrated from Achilles' perspective?
Yeah.
Nope. We're doing something different.
Yeah.
And I definitely appreciated that as well. So,
What else?
Anything else? Exile, we talked the war. Did we talk the ending?
Do you want to?
Let's just say the only thing I will say about the ending is that even if you're familiar with the Iliad, with the story that this is based on, then your heart is going to be ripped out of your chest. You're probably going to cry. I cried. I can shamelessly and freely admit that on YouTube to all of you lovely people. But very rarely, I found, does a book really get to you in that way.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely. And I think I was saying to you, the only books that have really succeeded, other than this one, are anything written by Adam Silvera and The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak.
Yeah.
Those are the only other books that have really made me cry. And so this was definitely in rarefied air as far as books for me, and in terms of an emotional connection and reaction. And the ending, my God, the ending. Anything you would like to say on it? Because I know you were telling me, if you're already a wreck at this point, the ending is going to destroy you.
Yeah, I was scared because you got so into it. Like, you were DMing me while you're reading it. I was like, oh no, because you were so into it by like the middle of the book.
I know.
earlier, and I was like, oh god, the ending.
But again, that's the mark of a good book, when you're so invested in it, and then all of a sudden, the ending hits you like a brick.
Yeah, it was so devastating, but at the same time, there again is like a ray of hope on like the very ending, the very last page, and
Exactly.
it was so beautiful.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And this is a video where we've had a lot of the same opinions and expressions, which has made it really easy
Oh yeah.
to even do this in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been fun had I hated the book and you really loved it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, quality literature at the end of the day is quality literature. And I think if you take anything away from this video, we want it to be that the Song of Achilles is quality literature. And that I think it's something that, whether you're into historical fiction or not, I think it's at least a worthwhile read. Because I don't read a whole lot of historical fiction. But at the same time, there was something about this story that grabbed me in my YA contemporary loving soul.
Yeah, it is. I think it is technically a YA book, right? But when you hear historical fiction, you might think, oh, you're going to get bogged down in all the details or like the dates of wars and stuff like that. But there's nothing like that. It moves generally pretty fast.
Generally pretty fast, and as Emily said, it's not bogged down by a lot of the dense writing that I've come to expect from a lot of historical fiction.
For sure.
And that's definitely a positive.
Yep.
So anyway, that was our thoughts on the Song of Achilles. Hopefully they were at least somewhat coherent.
I think they were.
But to summarize, we really did love this book, and we hope that if you decide to give it a chance, you'll really love it too.
Yeah. If you've already read it, let us know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Madeline Miller also has a second novel out called Circe, which I also recommend.
And it's coming out, if you're one of the people who likes paperback over hardcover, I'm more of a hardcover person myself.
Me
but,
too.
But the paperback is coming out in September of Circe.
Oh, good to know.
So I think it's September 10th or something?
Okay.
I can't remember exactly, but I did see it when I was going book shopping.
Okay, great.
On the website. So
Yeah.
that is coming for you paperback lovers. But thank you all so much for watching, and I guess
See you on your channel.
see you on my channel, and see you on Emily's channel as well, her regular channel, right?
Yeah. Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.